Once again, we're going to say welcome to our Friday night debate. My name is Dennis Jai, and I have two lawyers who are my guests. Our topic tonight, we're going to discuss the constitutionality of calling for an elected president to step down. The question is it a crime to call for citizens to call for an elected president to step down? Yes or no? With me to debate this very important issue, I have Councillor Frederick Jayweh. Councillor Jayweh, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Dennis. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. And by the way, Councillor Jayweh said it is a crime. We also have Attorney Kunkunyon Wleh, who is joining us from Monrovia. Attorney, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Julius, and welcome to Councillor Jayweh as well.
Thank you.
In the wake of the December 30th announcement for a protest to call for President George Weah to step down, there has been debate in the legal cycles as to whether this is constitutional or not, whether it is a crime or not. So tonight, what we are going to do is to speak with two lawyers who have different opinions on this. The exercise is not about who is for the step down campaign or who is against it. We are strictly going to discuss the law, whether this is legal or not, or if this is punishable, if this is a crime. So what we're going to do is Councillor Jayweh, affirmative, will go first to state his position, whether this is a crime or not. After that, we'll have Attorney Kunkunyon Wleh to go first. The question is it a crime for citizens to call for the elected president to step down? Councillor Jayweh, you have not more than 3 minutes for your response.
You know, my answer is yes, it is a crime for people to get onto the street or the streets of Liberia and not just demonstrate, but decide to proceed to ask an elected government to resign and surrender power over to a government or over to a regime that was not or is not elected by the people of Liberia. Liberia has gone down this road before. There have been many sweet talkers. There are people who call themselves progressives. There are people who call themselves freedom fighters, people who said they were coming to redeem Liberia. And they have led Liberia about 100 or more years backward on what I call this sort of nonsense. The law does not support a demonstration that would stand people who design and make plans to request the elected president, whether you like the president or not, whether he is, in your view, conducting himself consistent with what you may want. There is no legal right to demonstrate and ask President Weah to resign. The Constitution is very clear. It says all power is vested in the people, and they may change the government if they wish to, but the change that the Constitution reference is not going on the street in a chaotic manner to request the president to resign and turn power over to some group of unknown people who may want to seize power. Particularly the new Penal Code, Chapter 11, Section 11.1, A to E. My interest is basically on D and E, specifically speaks against such a lawlessness. It says that any attempt to use force or any other means to subvert the Constitution, meaning that going onto the street and asking President Weah to step down without concluding or without fulfilling his mandate the constitutional term for which he was elected, which is the first 6 years. That in itself constitutes recklessness, and it's in violation of section 11. Chapter 11, section 11.1, D and E. Interestingly, there is a very strong provision for imprisonment of people who are indicted, tried, and found guilty for such a behavior. President Wleh can be removed from power if you vote him out of power. It's not by going on the streets and conducting yourself outside of the law. So we say it is treason to attempt to require the president to resign.
Thank you. Attorney Kunkunyon, is it a crime for citizens to call for the elected president to step down? Your position?
Well, before expressing my position, I would like to, first of all, give a disclaimer that, well, first, I don't think this discussion is about President Wleh or not. So I want us to draw that boundary. It's about educating our people, our listeners, as to whether calling for a president, elected president, as the topic is. So I would like for us to restrict this discussion or this debate to the questions presented. Okay, so it's not about President Wleh or it's not about this government, it's about the Constitution, whether a group of citizens coming together and asking an elected official, as the question is, elected president to step down, whether it's a crime. So in my mind, I don't think it is a crime, because I think Councillor Jayweh, he makes a very good point, and he's correct when he talks about violence, he talks about something being, he's correct, okay? There is no protection for violent protest or demonstration. There's no constitutional protection for any kind of expression that will be chaotic or cause havoc. But looking at the debate question, I would like to limit myself to the debate question as to whether calling for the resignation of a president. Okay, that is just nothing but a speech. I don't think the topic extends to the fact that you are concerned about people going on the street to be chaotic or violent. So if Councillor Jayweh will be directing his debate, the theory of his debate as to the fact of violence and chaos, I think it is just speculative. So that's not anything to stand by, because as we stand, the question is whether a citizen or group of persons calling for an elected president to step down before his or her term expires is a crime. My answer to that is no. That is, so anybody can come and say, okay, the president should step down, that's our opinion. It's protected. Opinions are not actionable. Okay, but I think as a Jayweh, and I get that he missed the point of the debate question to the extent that he said going to demonstrate and becoming violent and it become chaotic. Yes, he's correct. But again, if for somebody just saying the president should step down, I think the president should step down, the president should step down, then you say automatically it's a crime. No, he's just becoming speculative as to the aspect of alleging violence and chaos. You can get alleged. And there's a standard for that in constitutional law. And the best and simple standard for that is that if people go out to protest, the standard is the danger of the threat should be imminent. It should be imminent. It shouldn't be anything speculative or any future threat. So somebody just coming out today and say, look, the president should step, things are very difficult. That doesn't make a crime. I don't see that. I mean, he referenced 11.1 of the penal law. He read something that talks about violence and something that talks about overthrow. So calling for a president to sit down, that doesn't amount to overthrow, because the Constitution gave clear line of succession. So if somebody says, okay, this elected official should step down, there's a line for succession, so it doesn't necessarily mean overthrow. So I think Councillor Jayweh is just overthinking, about overthrow and taking power and violence and chaos. I don't want to go in speculative argument. Again, I want to limit the debate as to it being more educated than being political. And to just be clear, I want to send this caveat, I do not support any call for this government to retire or for the president to resign. But the fact that citizens or group of citizens call for the president to resign, just calling to resign is a choice to resign or not. And that's the question. To call for a president to resign, whether or not it's a crime, that is not a crime. No.
Thank you.
You know, Attorney Cllr just said that the Constitution provides for a process for the president to be replaced. I guess that's what he meant when he said provide for a process. If the president to resign or succession, there's a process. That's the same thing. That's a process. Perhaps you're referring to the vice president should take over when the president steps down. That's interesting. The provision you're referring to is not applicable here at all. There is no one on that constitutional provision that he's citing that has said he or she is going to the street. Mr. Costa, Henry Costa, has consistently gotten to the airway. He and members of the COP, the Council of Patriots, call themselves.
Can I interject there?
Let him finish.
Mr. Costa and his supporter, the COP, including maybe some of the officials of the opposition political party, have come out and said that they would demonstrate on the 30th of December.
Councillor Jayweh.
Yes.
Let us first lay the premise about, without making specific reference to December 30 or to Henry Costa, and see whether if a group of citizens, 1, 2, 3 on the radio or in the street saying the president should come down, does that amount to a crime?
I say amount to, I'll give you the fact. You cannot leave the facts out. The law can never operate outside the fact.
No, but I don't know about that fact because
you have, in order to apply a principle of law, whether it's the Constitution or the statute, you got to have the facts that exist. There exists a fact.
No, but Jayweh, you know that notice, right? The elementary principle law is notice, right?
I know that.
Correct. So you present to me a question that whether or not it is a crime if a group of citizens asks a president to resign. And
I just said.
No. I'm not speaking to you. So, but the trend, upon which you are taking the debate is like, I'm not going to defend Costa or the COP action. I'm not going to dwell into that. I'm here to discuss the constitutionality of a group of citizens coming together and asking an elected official or the president to resign. I'm
not speaking on a speculative set of facts. I'm speaking on exactly what the facts are, taking judicial notice of what has gone on, what is going on now, what they call for the president to step down. And not just people getting up and saying, look, we would stand up and write a speech and say, President Wleh, or any Liberian president for that matter, should resign. The fact that you speak and say that if the president, elected president, should resign, it's not a crime. The fact that you followed that up, I'm going further. The fact that you followed that up with a demonstration and saying we will remain on the streets until this president resigns, that aspect of your follow-up is a crime.
But Councillor Jayweh, at this point, you have ended my debate. Because
I'm not ending your debate. I just told you that there's a fact. I told you that there is a historical setting of why Liberians have been calling and saying the president should resign. And at the end of the day, December 30 is a day set for 5,000 Liberians, 1 million Liberians, for 10,000 Liberians. As Mr. Costa and his COP colleagues have said, they will take on to the streets of Liberia. They would remain on the streets of Liberia until the president resigns. That is a crime.
Mr. Host?
Yes, sir.
For the benefit of our listener, I think let's make progress. I mean, that means, let me make this clear, that Councillor Jayweh has conceded that the mere fact a group of citizens come out and ask a sitting president to resign is not a crime.
I did not say they come out. I said a speech. I did not say people should gather themselves on the street, come out and say, ask the president to resign. It's not a crime. That's not what I said. I said the fact that people gather themselves onto the streets of Liberia and say that the sitting president will resign or will remain on the streets until they resign, that's a crime. The fact that he gave a speech, I can give a speech and say, President Wleh should resign. That's a speech that I gave, and without following it up with an action, it's not a crime. Okay. If I should say group of Liberians, 7,000, 10,000, 15,000, 1 million, or the 5 million people that Bureau said it has, should come out and demonstrate and demand that the demonstration continue until the president steps down, whether it's we are or whoever it is, that's a violation of section 11, chapter 11, 11.1, A to D.
So Councillor Jayweh, how long should they stay in the street before it amount to a crime? Let's say if they went in the street this morning and by 12 o'clock they leave and say the president should step down, is that a crime?
When you go on the street, when you make, I'm just making the distinction very clearly. When you speak, you write a speech, deliver a speech and say that because of the ineffectiveness of the president, because his government has not been able to do what the Liberian people are looking for, the president of Liberia deserves to resign, should resign, you have not committed a crime. That's free speech. When you proceed to say, I will follow my action by calling my supporters. Listen, Mr. Costa has said, I'm coming to Liberia. We will burn down the rival field. I will buy a gun and kill people. You are creating a situation of inciting the people. And that alone, followed by a demonstration, what is for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, the whole day, the whole month, the rest of the year, you have committed a crime. If I am prosecuting you, you will be convicted because I will prosecute you based upon the historicity of your fact, of the fact that exists. You didn't just give a speech.
Councillor Jayweh, I think your point is clear, and then in that light, we don't have much of difference in view. You know, if the protest or the demonstration would lead to violent chaos, but again, there's a standard set in constitutional law, because mind you, even the right to protest or demonstrate, there are some limitations. Government can regulate it, okay? They can regulate it in terms of the time, the place, and the manner. So I say we have like minds in terms of calling for a protest that will be violent, okay, or that will violate laws or that will break the laws. Of course, you can be held for that, you know. But my understanding for this topic was the mere fact that a group of citizens come and ask a president to resign, it becomes something treasonable. I disagree strongly. But however, I want us to look at, you talk a lot. Let me just make some key points. I want to look at Article 1 of our Constitution. I think this is key. I mean, this show is going to be more educated than, you know, just disagreeing. You know, Article 1 of our Constitution is clear when it talks about, you know, people having the right to alter the government for their own safety and blah, 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 and through general regular elections. Here's my opinion. First of all, the basis upon which Liberia as a country was founded, Liberia is a democratic society. So you want to talk about June 30? I'll give you my candid opinion on June 30 as a person.
December 30.
Sorry, December 30. Liberia is a democratic society, right? So in democracy, the Constitution gives all primarily two ways upon which we can alter our government, okay? Through regular elections or impeachment, okay? So once we have a functional democracy where nobody prohibits citizens from exercising the right to elections, nobody impede the legislature from doing away from carrying on impeachment proceedings, of course, there should be no other way that people should take down government except through regular elections or through impeachment. That is my opinion on that. Once the space is provided for, once we have democracy. So if citizens now within this time, if citizens feel disenchanted and they feel the president is not performing for the safety and blah, 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 for which other government, the government should be altered, except the tenure has expired that is when you go through elections, it should be ordered. The only way is through impeachment. Okay, so people like Costa, of course, they have the right, they can demonstrate, they can protest. Of course, the government can regulate the protest in terms of time and manner and the place. They can go to the lawmakers and petition them and say, look, the president did X, Y, Z, or he's doing X, Y, Z, right? So we ask you, once we have the democratic space, the way to alter the government should be through regular elections or impeachment. I don't think Councilor Jayweh and I disagree on that point. But the main fact, and I like to stress the main fact that you have any Liberian citizen or group of citizens who come out and say, look, this person is not performing, he must step down. That is not a crime. Okay. That is not
let's stop it. Let's stop it right there. Let's forget what Costa or anybody has said in the past.
Correct.
If today I can mobilize 100,000 Liberians and put them in the street from 6 to 6, calling for the president to step down, is that a crime? Councilor Jayweh, let's ignore what I did before, but that the main fact that I mobilized 100,000 people, we get in the street all day calling for the president to step down, is that a crime?
Atty. Cllr just told you that there are two ways that you can get the president to leave power. One is by election, and the other is by impeachment if the Senate should sustain that and vote the president out of office. Any other means that pretend or may be or is chaotic, such means whether it's 100,000 people you put on the street from 6 to 6 and demand that the president should resign, you have violated the new penal law, section 11, chapter 11, section 11.1. Your position is that you will maintain yourself on the street. Forget about Costa if you want to forget about him. I think he's just a reckless guy that doesn't even know what he intends to do, because nobody who has sense, who has lawyer, who has contacted a legal counsel, I understand Gongo represents him. I mean, you will talk to a lawyer and find out whether is this how to proceed, and that lawyer will help you out. I heard Costa saying at one point that, this is a moral call. I don't know which one is moral. Your attitude of putting people on the street that you cannot control. You said 100%, for example. You can never tell whether those of the 100%, 20 or 15, 100,000 or 20 or 15,000 of those such group would become chaotic.
Okay, that would become. Let me go to Councilor Atty. Cllr. Atty. Cllr, forget about whatever happened before. If today I decide to put 100,000 in the street of Monrovia all day, calling the president to step down, is that free speech? Is that protected under the Constitution, or is that a crime?
Again, Julius, let me say something. Again, in our political culture, even in constitutional democracy, civil disobedience is something that is harder, recognized and commendable. Okay, but it got it so because civil disobedience is not protected. You got to understand something. Okay, you get citizens who come on the street say, "We're moving for and take certain action be taken." But mind you, they can charge you for breach of peace. I won't go to Councilor Jayweh route to say treason. I think it's so outrageous to say you can charge them for treason. You can charge them for breach of peace. You can charge them for loitering. There are so many charges you can charge them for, of course. So if you come on the street, because mind you, the government has the responsibility and the duty obligation to regulate protest, demonstration, government can regulate it. Not to say they can prohibit it. No, not prohibition. But they can tell you know what? Come here today. Okay, don't come here at this time because people will be going to school. Go this way, right? In America, you see that. They do the red tape regulation too. Government can do that. So you don't say, "Oh, just be on the middle of the street. We will not move. You obstruct other people's peace." No. The Constitution don't protect those type of things. The government say the guaranteed protest that will be what? Conducted in a peaceful and orderly manner. And the government has a constitutional mandate to ensure that all protest or demonstration is conducted in a peaceful and orderly manner. So right. If these citizen comes out and citizens come out and say we are conducting also, or if they conduct themselves in a peaceful and orderly manner, right? Calling for the president, I don't think it's a crime. It's not a crime unless they violate some city ordinance, or when the government try to regulate in terms of time and the manner, then of course it will be violating some other laws. But the main fact you come out and your conduct is peaceful and orderly, as it is enshrined in the Constitution, Article 15, Article 17, it's not a crime.
Councillor Jayweh, you said this amount to overthrow if you did that.
You know, history, Liberia has a history. There have been people who call themselves progressives. There have been sweet talkers, people who call themselves freedom fighters, people who call themselves redeemers.
Councillor, this is law, not history.
I don't speak outside a factual situation.
Yeah.
I'm able to talk the law, speak the law outside the fact. I'm telling you that Liberia have had a history. Today, Liberia is 100 years backward because of this reckless and irresponsible behavior, where a group of people will say that, you know, we will get on the streets and government will regulate, will go maybe Ken Johnson Road, and then we pass right in front of the mansion and sit down there for all day, all night, and request that the president steps down or else will remain there. You may not like the president. You may not like whosoever is elected president. But if that person is elected by the Liberian people, he has or she has a constitutional mandate. That mandate goes, as the constitution stands at this point, it goes for the first 6 years. You can vote him out after the first 6 years. Do the best to mobilize people. Why don't you mobilize people to vote the president that you disagree with his performance out after he has performed his constitutional duty? Why put people on the street? What does it show? Are you reckless? Are you able to control 100,000 people? Are you able to say people who are so desperate?
So, Councillor Jayweh, if the protest is peaceful, orderly, and it goes by government regulation, right? Is it a crime still?
There is no indicator. The indicators in Liberia have shown that demonstrations have led to destruction of property, destruction of life. There is no, I cannot talk outside of the facts. What Liberia has seen from demonstrations have resulted into destruction of property, has resulted into the taking of lives. In Liberia, I just completed high school in 1979 when there was the rice riot. People say it will be peaceful. Where's the indicator?
Okay.
Do you have an indicator to measure that it will be peaceful on the 30th of December 2019, that 100,000 Liberian people will go on the street and ask for the president to resign? That would not be chaotic. Even where it's not chaotic, the new penal code provides that your penalty is 20 years imprisonment.
That's what I want you to go to. I don't want you to. Okay, let me go back to you, Attorney Ted.
No, I disagree with Councillor Jayweh. I think he's wrong. You know, to say you're asking the question very, very, you know, succinctly and to the point. That if you have a group of citizens who come out to protest and they conduct themselves peacefully and in an orderly manner and they abide by government regulations, and if Councillor Jayweh says this, then I don't know. Then we should shut down the Constitution. Okay.
Your position is that they will conduct themselves peacefully. How do you know?
No, but Councillor Jayweh, listen, you don't use.
Do you have a measurement that they will conduct themselves peacefully on the 30th of December?
No, Councillor Jayweh, you don't in applying constitution test for persons conduct. You don't say because in 1979 back up my feet they were violent or you can call them violent. So you say in 2019 you're going to assume or just be conclusive we're going to be violent. No, you don't do that.
I'm talking about the announcement for the 19th of the 30th of December. Do you have anything to prove to the public that the demonstration the 30th will be peaceful?
Councillor Jayweh, you're not answering my question. I'm saying if it is peaceful, if it is orderly, is it a crime?
The law does not deal with if the facts are there or the facts are not there. If you get on the street, you should get on the street. Once you get on the street, plan to get on the street on the 30th of December and demonstrate to demand the president should come down. You have no measurement to say that it would be peaceful. You don't have a measurement. You have nothing to show.
In short, Councillor, you're saying there can be no peaceful protest, right?
I'm saying there can be protests. I'm saying there can be demonstration. A protest that crosses a line and require the president to resign, unless the president resign, the demonstrators will remain on the street is a crime.
Attorney Taylor, let me hear from you, because the councillor is not answering my question. He said that's
the councillor will not answer the question because the question is very, very simple and easy question that the councillor answer and ends the debate. Okay, you don't say, you ask very simple question. Protesters come out, they are peaceful to conduct themselves peacefully and orderly.
He said they are peaceful. How do you know they are peaceful?
So then there can be no peaceful protest because I don't know. And you can speculate.
But you just concluded that they are peaceful. How do you know they are peaceful?
No. We don't talk about Costa. I think you so focused on Costa or somebody. I'm not a politician.
I'm talking about Liberia as a country.
I'm not doing politics.
Go ahead.
He asks you, the host asks you a very simple, straight to the point question. And the question is, if you have a group of citizens who come out to protest and the protest is conducted in a peaceful or orderly manner, and the protest does not violate any government regulations or law, is it a crime? And you don't want to answer that question. You say, how will you put indicator?
Attorney, lawyers do not answer speculative questions. I don't know.
You speculating to be violent.
I don't know where at the law school they taught you to say that if this will happen. I don't know that. I know there has to be the facts. I know the law has to be applied, and that's what I know. I don't know if it will happen, if they will not happen. I don't know. I cannot answer speculative question. I have facts that will happen.
Councillor Jayweh, I want to go that route with you to talk about what kind of law school I went to. I went to some of the best law school in the world. I mean, I went, so I don't want to go personal. So let's just keep the respect. And
I know at the Louis Underground School of Law, they will never teach you to answer this question.
I went to some of the best law schools in the world. Yeah, I'm not a bar lawyer anyway. I'm a well.
And you accept a question if this will happen.
So he asks you a very simple question. As somebody here to educate as a lawyer. First of all, as a lawyer, you have to do this. Not just to your client, you have to do it to the society. And what we're doing is one of the functions that lawyers will exercise.
Attorney, no lawyer.
You gotta give me a chance. You gotta give me a chance. I listen to you. If he asks you a specific question that you have an opinion on, you gotta give your opinion. He asks you a question, you lay all the people, you agree, you say, oh, violent, not violent. He asks you a question. If you have a group of citizens who come out to protest, and the protest is conducted in a peaceful, orderly manner, and that protest does not violate any government regulations or law, is it a crime? And you want to be there and say, how do you know? Then you're speculating that the protest is going to be, you talk about speculation? You don't speculate. You don't say because Baka Matthew protest was violent, or Deacon Carlos protest was violent, or Company Wizard protest was violent, so today the protest in 2019 will be violent. I don't understand.
I don't answer the speculative question. If you are seeing my writer, you will know that I don't address myself to speculation. I wrote a 6-page statement on whether,
Councillor Jayweh,
specifically whether
I read it.
The COP coming on the 30th of December and demonstrating to ask the president to resign, whether it's a crime. I address myself in that context. Okay. I'm not going to address myself to if. I'm not going to address myself to if people come on the street, if this will happen. Where am I coming from with if?
No, but what your position is also if. You are saying if they come and if.
No, I didn't say if. My writer never said if. You don't see any if.
What are you speculating?
I'm not speculating. I have facts. I just said to you, I have facts. I have radio broadcast information. I have writing on Facebook. These are not speculation. These are issues written by the people who are planning the demonstration.
We'll come to the COP specifically, but
exactly
hold your thought right there. Let me bring in a caller to
all participants are unmuted.
Another dimension. Call out your name and where you calling from.
Hello,
go ahead.
Hi, you can hear me, John?
Yes, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, my name is Eastman.
Okay.
My name is Eastman. I'm calling from Washington, D.C.
Go ahead.
And I like to. Okay, I understand Councillor Jayweh's argument, and I've typed something, and I want Wleh to read this. I text: sedition is a conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or monarch. Sedition is a felony punishable by imprisonment. It refers to the act of inciting revolt or violence against a lawful authority with the goal of destroying or overthrowing it. Mm-hmm. That is the definition of sedition Now, if you're calling for a president, a constitutionally elected president, to step down, that is characterized under sedition, which is a crime. So what's the if about?
You are merciful
It is
to
a
them.
crime. It is outlined.
Thank you. And that is the penal law, section 11.12.
Yeah, he's merciful to them. I will not charge no sedition. I'll go for treason.
Hold on.
Is it Julius? Julius?
You talking about me? I'm not Julius. Come on.
Oh, Dennis, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Dennis, you see, the quarter called my questions to the one he just read. Let me just respond to that.
Yeah.
In Jayweh, you know very well from the onset, I did not disagree with you that violent call for violent call that incite, chaos. There's no protection for that. That was my opinion.
Okay.
Opinion. There's no protection for that. That is clear. There's no dispute about that. So the quarter when he read, he's correct. But what he's saying, is not what we are discussing. The question here now is, you have...
What are you discussing?
What?
What are you discussing? That people come on the street and asking the person.
No, listen. Read the question. Did you read the question for the debate before coming here? Did you read it?
Go ahead.
The question says, here's the question, the debate question, is the calling for an elected president to step down a crime? Is it a crime? Is the calling for an elected president to step down, is it a crime?
Not just calling the president to step down. They can't, again, attorney tell you cannot speak contextually outside the factual, the facts that exist.
I'm not going to discuss Costa case. Nobody gave me, I have no notice. This is the day you can look for a lawyer for Costa. I'm not going to discuss Costa case. Maybe the way you're missing my point.
I don't know why you're discussing. I'm saying whether it's Costa, whether it's any Liberian who gets on a group of Liberians who gets on the street and determine that an elected president, whether it is Wleh or whosoever it is, that president without completing his or her 6-year term in Liberia, the fact that you demonstrate and require or request that he or she steps down, you are committing a crime.
To ask the president, to ask an elected president to step down is a crime.
I didn't just
define the crime. You have to define the crime, though. You can't just say arbitrarily a crime. You have to define the crime.
What's the definition?
What's the definition of what? The definition of treason?
The crime. What is a crime being committed? You have to categorize the crime. What is the crime?
It is not a crime. Bingo. Whether sedition, whether treason. The mere fact you come out and call out the president to resign. It is void of violence.
Attorney, you were speaking as.
Go ahead, Attorney. Go ahead.
It is void, and that call is void of violence. It's void of inciting people to cause chaos or havoc. That is not a crime. That is not a crime. So
how is that different from sedition? Look, what is it? What?
Sedition, it talk about rebellion. It talk about taking over. Okay, read it again.
Okay, section. Let me read section 11.12 of the penal law. They say a person owing allegiance to Liberia has committed sedition, a felony of the 2nd degree, if he advocates by word of mouth, writing, or otherwise sectionalism, countyism, tribalism, parochialism, or the like, with the intent in doing to incite the people to hostility, create disunity among the people, and divide the nation. Or he advocates rebellion, incites, or in any way promotes insurrection against the authority of the republic. So
what is attorney saying?
Hostility.
Attorney tell you can control when somebody gave a speech with 100,000 people on the street and asking the president of forget about Wleh.
No, but you are, Councilor Jayweh, you are assuming. I don't want you to assume. You are assuming.
That's the point.
If the president
I'm assuming what? I just told you that there are facts. You said assuming.
Hold on. You are saying if the president gave a speech to 100 persons.
No, I didn't say if the president. I didn't say if the president. I never said.
So you said if a president gave.
I said you. I said you said that 100,000 people coming on the streets.
Let me
and
you are assuming
that is speculative.
You are assuming that if the president gives a speech to 100%, they will be incited to violence, to rebellion, and it will be chaotic.
You, Liberia is an illiterate society.
No, I disagree.
I'm saying to you that people have Liberians.
So Liberians are stupid, right? You saying Liberians are stupid?
Man, we have had Liberia. Do you have light in Liberia now?
But you see,
do you have consistent light? Do you have consistent light now in Liberia? You don't.
Do you get me America?
Because there were some reckless people who said that they will come onto the street, they would demonstrate, they would lead onto whatever thing they led to the war, they destroy Liberia 100% backward, 100 years backward. Are you calling on people to go on the street to go and make speech to people who have no way of discerning what you're talking about?
Because what you're saying basically is the exercise of my right in 2019, right, is contingent upon how Bako Mafi exercise right in 2019.
What? I didn't say what Bako Mafi did.
Councillor Jayweh, let me mute you for a second so somebody else can talk. In essence, what you are saying, the exercise of my right is contingent upon the understanding of somebody else.
Best way you won. That's what I'm saying. When you go beyond saying and demonstrating to question the performance of the president, but my group and myself will remain on the street or the streets of Liberia until the president steps down, my friend. I am Minister of Justice. I'm coming for you.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're screen. You coming for me, right?
Well, let me indict you first.
We have all kind of justice ministers in the country before. Okay.
At 2012, let me indict you first. And
wait, go ahead, Councillor.
I think you're so passionate and you put in emotions to this. We have had all type of justice minister. Is that what you do as justice minister? That's not the question. Of course, as justice minister, anybody can do anything, but the question is it right or wrong? Of course, the great Albert Port, who we hail today, he wrote all type of articles criticizing government. Okay, the way Bako Mafi emphasizes right in 1979, because I get your point clearly, Councillor. Your point is because we have in history, people demonstrated before, it turned to violence, so we should now in 2019 people shouldn't go demonstrate. What is that?
No, you had 2019 a quote unquote what you call it, planner of the demonstration that has said, do you read the Facebook of people writing what they write on their Facebook?
I'm not referring to Costa on Facebook for one point.
I say, what are you friend? You don't need to be friend with me to see what I write on the Facebook. You don't need to be my friend to see what I have said on Facebook and what I would do.
The law is not about. But let me before I let Eastman go, our caller. Caller, do you have any follow-up?
Yes, the only follow-up I have is we're not going to suppose and do ifs. Mm-hmm. We have to look at the fact that this is a definite challenge to the constitutional method of changing the helm of power.
Correct.
It's a challenge to the Constitution. It's a challenge to the authority. That is definitely what is in place here.
Right.
Correct.
So you agree that anytime a group of people meet and they orderly and peaceful manner, and they call for the president to step down, that is a crime.
I like that he said when they meet in an orderly manner. How do you know?
Hold on.
How do you know?
I support anything within the law. They have freedom to assembly, freedom to speech.
Correct.
All those things are within the law and within their constitutional right. They go out of bounds, out of that law or that restriction when they challenge the authority to be changed in a manner unaligned with the Constitution. That's not the way to do it.
Thank you.
So if they go to issue, what they should do, this is what should be done. They should appeal to the legislature saying, you represent us, we want this president impeached.
Correct.
That is how you go about making a change, not in this chaotic way that could cause what we have seen, what the counselor alluding to here, we have seen over and over this thing get out of hand We've seen a war coming to change an administration become tribalistic, killing innocents. We've seen this over. The data is there. Today we live in a data-driven world. The data is there. I understand what the council is saying here. The data is there that these changes are always lead to violence 90% of the time.
Thank you.
Okay? And then you see that they're not following the ordained way to go about a change. So what is going to happen? I mean, the writing is on the wall.
Thank you. Thank you. Attorney,
Yeah. You know, I mean, the color, like Councillor Jayweh, I mean, I understand from whence they speak, you know, when we talk about our history, you know, but we're talking law here, you know. When you assessing people how they exercise their right in this time, you look at their conduct. And you know, we're talking about Liberia, but anyway, it's a common law jurisdiction. If you're not just the United States Supreme Court, common law, in common law country from England or the United States, there is a widely accepted principle in assessing such a thing. You know, they say clear and present danger. You know, that clear and present danger principle is very key in Canada.
Councilor, you think you're talking about America or you're talking about Liberia? Where your measurement stick?
We don't stupid in Liberia, man. We get sense here. Don't say Liberia stupid. We don't stupid. Okay? People cannot jump back on 1 year in. People going back on.
Huh? I said you talk about the United States or Liberia. I didn't say you're stupid. I didn't say that.
No, I said you say I'm stupid. I said no. But listen, once it is in our constitution, if you don't want it, if you think Liberians are not too mature to handle what we have in our constitution, then change the constitution. The constitution guarantees people right to protest. It guarantees people right to freely express, to dissent.
Councilor, are you not contradicting yourself when you say the two ways in which a president of Liberia can be removed from office by election and by
that is not a contradiction.
And at the same time, you support that people should go on the street and demand the president should step down?
No, he didn't say he supported.
Oh my God!
I didn't say you support. At the
you
same time,
got
the way to proceed.
No, you got to listen. I have not contradicted myself. I am very clear. What I'm saying, and let me say it again. Okay, let me say this: within a working constitutional framework.
Liberia does not have working constitutional framework.
Councillor Jayweh, you got to let him finish.
I don't do debate like that. I respect you giving your opinion. You express your opinion. You end. Give my opinion. I gotta say it. In a working constitutional democratic framework, there are two ways to alter government or to remove elected officials: through regular elections or impeachment. Bingo. Because also the Constitution gave people the right to dissent. Dissent is protected. Okay? So if somebody comes out, and that is the question, they say whether asking an elected official or president to step down is a crime. That alone is not a crime if you ask him. I went further to say, but if you go to protest and demonstrate, which of course you're right to that extent, if the demonstration and protest is chaotic, it's violent, it creates hostility, of course there's no protection for violence. There's no protection. What else you want to say? So you say people should never ever protest or demonstrate at all because of what happened in 1979? Then change the constitution in 2019. Change the constitution in 2019.
You just said in a working constitutional democracy. That's what you said, right? You premise your statement by saying in a working constitutional democracy. Are you saying that the constitution? You are saying that the constitution that Liberia has and the situation that Liberia is currently in is not a workable standard of law. Therefore, people should go on the street and demonstrate. That's your argument.
No, Councilor, no, you are wrong. You aren't getting my argument. You got to listen to get my argument. Okay? Don't be opinionated. Listen, they exchange views. You agree with me, disagree with me. I said, within a working constitution, I don't think Liberia is in chaos. I think
what is your phrase within
election is not due. Election is not due. We have the legislature. You're not talking to just any lawyer. My graduate study was tailored in constitutional law. I know what I say. I'm not guessing.
Okay. I'm explaining.
You have the legislature.
What do you mean by in a constitutional democracy?
You have a functional for the three branches of government working. They are functioning. The 3 branches of government are functioning. The election is not due. So if anybody wants to alter a government without the president's or the elected official turning any, you go to the legislature. I said that was my premise. So don't forget that. But however, the point I'm making, however, this very same constitution, it encourages and protects dissent. So because John Brown, not like the president, if he president 24 won't guarantee and safety, he say the president should step down. That is opinion. If you go further to say, okay, we're going to protest or express or demonstrate, of course the government protect people to go and protest, but protest should be regulated. It should be regulated.
You want to speak outside the facts, which is terrible for you. You cannot speak outside of the factual situation.
What is the fact?
People speak and say president should resign. That alone in Liberia will not constitute a crime.
Let me bring
when you demonstrate and say I will remain on the streets, you are acting extra constitutionally.
Okay.
But Councillor, I just told you, Councillor, if people say we'll demonstrate, remain on the street, right? Ain't that civil disobedience? Yeah, no, we'll say remain on the street, right?
I have a question for your guest.
Hold on, caller, hold on.
And you also know civil disobedience. And I told you from the beginning, I've said so many important things that you're just not listening to. If I decide to say, look, I'm going to be disobedient civilly, it give me no protection. They can arrest me if I violate the breach of the peace, if I lottery, right? Could people, if I recently arrested some prominent person for civil disobedience, you can be arrested for civil disobedience. There's no protection. So if somebody say we're going on the street to say we're going, ask the president we'll be on the street. Of course, the government regulating the society. They can say the ordinances. Nobody should be at this time. Nobody should be at that time. Of course, government has authority. They have the constitution mandate to do that. So if the Costa or whosoever go protest and they say, you know what, we'll block the marshal, the president will not come to work. Of course, we'll block the marshal. The people instead of marriage or you will not go to school. Of course, there's no protection for that. There's no protection for that. But if they can go and ask for public arena, like the SKD or some other places, and go there and demonstrate and give the protest, give the speeches, right? Other persons, right?
Attorney, you're giving good shape to what you wish to talk now. They should go to Attorney Togman Stadium, right? They should go to Sameketo Stadium.
It could be.
That's what you said before. That's not what you said before. You said your constitutional understanding is that because they have the right to freedom of speech and because they have the right to demonstrate, they can go on the street. We're talking about street here. We're not talking about Attorney Togman Stadium. I'm not opposed to people go to Attorney Togman Stadium.
Because I mean, you and I talking about street. They can demonstrate, of course. The government can regulate it. It's not you and I who can determine whether they can be on the street or not. It's the government. The government will tell us this time we need people on the street. I said the government can regulate it. It's the government. It's not you and I. It is the government who will say from 6 to 5 we don't need people here because this time we'll have our students getting ready to go to school. It's the government who will say from this time to this time, look, we don't need you at the SKD because we'll have the Muslims people to break their fast. Because the same government will say you can be to ATS because this time we'll have people who got to play our sport games.
Okay, so, Attorney, you just agree with me.
Councillor Jayweh, you are not. Anyway, let me bring you a caller who has a question. Caller, your name and what's your question?
Yeah, this is Anthony Dennis, and thank you for bringing me in. I have a question for the two gentlemen who are the guests. My question is, the Constitution and I believe was the penal law that you quoted.
Right.
Which one is supreme? If any of those two come in conflict, which one will be upheld? That is my question to the both of them. And before they can answer the question, I want to say this. My understanding is that the Constitution gives the people the power, and the Constitution went further to say that at any time, the Constitution did not specify where they should assemble. The Constitution again gives the people the power that they can alter the government. So if the Constitution can talk about altering the government, but then we have the penal code now that is preventing or that is spelling out a penalty for individuals who may be doing such, which one would take precedence? That is my question. Now, the last thing I want to say before I leave, Councillor Jayweh was speaking earlier. He said he does not answer to if. There is nothing like if in the law. That's what he said. But the very penal law that Dennis read, he said somebody will be charged for sedition if they do X, Y, Z. And so when he said that there is no if in the law, or he does not answer to if, I want him to clarify that, because for someone to be wrong, it has to be based on condition. The word if is a condition. I can be wrong if I insult the president. Why if I don't insult the president? So I think you need to clean that up. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I don't know whether his understanding of the Constitution is clear to him or not. It's unfortunate that the gentleman just thought that the Constitution provision that says that the citizen of Liberia have the right to alter the government. His understanding is that they may go on the street, they may change the government without going through the two processes or the requirements laid down by law, meaning that you can demonstrate and require that Mr. Wleh and his government, or whichever is president, steps down. And so then that's, according to him, that's a constitutional fulfillment. He's pretty wrong. That's not what the Constitution means. It got two means: you vote the president out of office, or you proceed by having him impeached. No reckless act will be supported by law. The other thing he wants us to address is that he asking the Constitution or the Penal Code which one is supreme. Again, he got mistaken view there because he thinks that he has good understanding as to what the Constitution is and what the penal law is. There's no conflict there.
He's not a lawyer, isn't it asking?
Well, you can presume. If you're not a lawyer, you don't make statement that is not correct. You cannot, the penal code is not in conflict. The penal code, the provision on treason, is not in conflict with the Constitution. Anyone who think that Section 11.1, Chapter 11, 11.1, A to E might be in conflict with the Constitution, why don't you challenge it before the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court would then interpret and say this provision of the Act would be stricken down because of it's in conflict with the Constitution. But as it stands, what makes a treason is when you stand on the street by way of demonstration, and you determine that you will ask the elected president of Liberia to step down and be replaced by another unconstitutional process. You have committed a violation of Section 11.1. To me, D and E, there's no if and and about it. He doesn't also understand when the law says that if the law works in conjunction with facts, it does not work with if this thing happened. No, there's no speculation about that. You get arrested for committing a crime. You don't get arrested for if you will commit a crime. We're not saying if you commit a crime. So maybe the would-be lawyers, my colleague will clarify for him that law will never be applied in isolation, never by speculation. There is a crime for which a person is arrested. The government is required to produce the facts to convict the person. Not the government will speculate to convict the person. When you see the Justice Ministry losing cases, it's because they are coming to court with if. You must come to court with the facts as laid down. You cannot say that people who you don't have any stick to, you don't have a measuring stick to say that people who will demonstrate on the 30th, the issue is directly toward demonstrating on the 30th of December. You can't lead that fact. So if you did that, you have just done injustice to what the law is, and the facts wouldn't apply.
Thank you.
Councillor Jayweh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just address the caller. Let me respond to the caller. And the Constitution is supreme. Okay, that's Article 2 of the Liberian Constitution. The Constitution is called the Supremacy Clause. But then I also like to agree with Councillor Jayweh that there is no conflict. In my opinion, there's no conflict between the law on sedition or the law on treason as compared to the Constitution, because Those laws are clear. They talk about violence, they talk about hostility. And I told you the Constitution does not protect violence, it does not protect hostility, havoc. No, it don't protect people who inciting imminent violence or chaos. No, there's no protection in the Constitution for that. So we talk about sedition. We all want Council Jayweh reading. It said violence, havoc, rebellion. It said overthrow. Those words are very clear and key. It talks about violence. So and the Constitution does not guarantee that. So
I'm showing the penal law on sedition.
But I have the penal law myself, so I don't need it.
No, I want my audience to see that.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I don't think that there is any inconsistency or contradiction with the penal law and I think it's within the framework of the Constitution. Okay, because the Constitution does not guarantee violence, all that kind of stuff. But let me address the issue about one thing to kind of Jayweh talk about when you talk about, people coming to protest and because nobody have no indicator to know whether it will be peaceful, so you can say it will be peaceful. But on the other side, because also you have no indicator to tell whether it will be violent, so you can say it will be violent.
Oh, I have indicators. Attorney don't say that. I have indicators. I just lay out for you factual situation. I just lay out for you the number of broadcasts that Mr. Costa had made. I just lay out to you his Facebook messages. I just lay out to you people who support him. Those are facts.
But Mr. Jayweh, then I don't think there is so long. If you want to, I haven't looked at the Costa case because I have not been asked to look at the Costa case before coming on this show. Okay, so if you want us to look at the Costa case, well, according to even take your word, if Costa said he's coming to Liberia to overthrow the president, he's coming to Liberia to bring guns to take over the president, of course, then there's no debate because there's no constitutional protection for that. We end that debate, right? We end that debate. If he say bringing gun, he coming to overthrow the president, he coming to bring men to move on a marshal, of course, there's no constitutional protection for that. Okay? But he got it so. I'm not here to examine the Costa case and say always. What I'm telling you is citizens have the right to ask their government or elected officials to step down. Citizens have the right to go out to express dissent in a form and manner of a protest, but it must be conducted consistent with the law or government's regulations. There's no protection for violence. There's no protection for.
So let me stop you there, Attorney Ter.
Okay.
So what protection is if there are only two ways to call for the president to step down, either impeachment or voting or election? So what is that constitutional backing that will take you in the street and say the president should step down, or you just want to make noise?
No.
Because it's not going to have any effect.
No. Listen, in our contemporary time, we watch, in other democracy, right? Every government, whether or not you're in Liberia or in China or wherever place, whether or not democracy or not, there's something called legitimacy. Okay? So you can have the power, you have the constitutional protection, but when you find vast majority of the people, so legitimacy is something that's very key. Even the Constitution don't talk about legitimacy. The Constitution says once you are elected, you're the president, unless you violate the Constitution and then they go through the ways we talk about altering the government. But when everybody, when majority of people come out and they stand and say we'll stay and walk, millions of people, thousands of people, we saw it in other countries. When they come out, they talk the concept called legitimacy. Okay, so that's what the politicians will talk about. So when you see more people come out again, they don't want you have constitutional crisis.
And then it's okay to ask the president to resign.
Haven't you heard about constitutional crisis? Don't put one in my mouth. I'm clear with this. It happened in many countries around the world where there's no law that says you come out and everybody should come up. But when everybody come out, or when majority of the people come out, that the government can withstand, of course.
The government resign.
It has no legitimacy. Then the government has no legitimacy.
Liberia now operating by those people law, we got constitution, got statute.
The government has no, it happen everywhere. We are not going. I'm not saying I'm not wishing for that to happen in Liberia. I'm not wishing for that to happen in Liberia. The question he asked.
I just said that Liberia has its own law. We are now from Syria. We are not from Lebanon.
No, but even Syria law, but you don't understand me. You gotta understand what I'm saying. Even Syria law, don't call people that come on the screen. I talk. Listen, that's what I'm saying.
You say legitimacy. Okay. When plenty people come, let me put it like English. When plenty people come on the street and say the president should come down, then for you and to your mind, it is legitimate.
But no. Listen, when I talk about legitimacy, right? When people, let me give you an example of legitimacy. To elections, and they announce a candidate as the winner. Okay, and for example, when they announce as a winner, they announce you the law, how you should declare winner. They declare you consistent with the law. Okay, but when your elections is questioned, right? That was most presidents don't like for the little our claim when your election is questioned. People say the man don't get legitimacy. Even though you're the president. Julius, you understand what I'm saying? You're the president, but when everybody know the election already, they say the man got legitimacy. Haven't you heard that?
Council, you're getting extra facts that got nothing to do with what we're talking about. You're talking about somebody, the election goal. You can't have it both ways.
That's the same thing. So that's the same thing. So legitimacy, when I talk about legitimacy, it does not necessarily be what you ask for. Oh man, the constitution. Haven't you heard about constitutional crisis? Haven't you heard about constitutional crisis?
So maybe your phrasing of all the sentences has to do with there is apparent illegitimacy in Liberia, and so if there is an apparent illegitimacy,
I don't know how you can reason your conclusion is so poor
and demonstrate.
No, you can conclude it's so poor. I mean, that's a very poor conclusion. If I'm having listened to what I said. No, having listened to what I said. No. I'm not giving you about what in Liberia. I'm trying to educate our public and you, if you don't know, that besides operating within the constitutional framework, he asked a specific question. So what's the need for people coming to in my house number to come and say the president? Well, I'm telling you what happened in Liberia I'm not describing what happened in Liberia. And because of John, I said you're acting very unfair. That's injustice for our listeners. Because I told you we have no condition in Liberia now that calls for people entering government except through elections and impeachment. It tells you that we have a functional democracy. I told you. So come and ask me, you have no legitimacy in Liberia. It is because it's sad.
Where are you coming from with your word legitimacy? What is the example for that?
Because he asked a question. So why the need if the constitutional say to go? Why the need? Why even motivate people? What's the intuition?
I think the question was clear. So if you go outside the two ways that you yourself listed, if you go outside the two ways that you listed, everything else is making noise.
Right, but noise, it can be noise, but is that noise a crime? That's the underlying question. But let me welcome my our West African correspondent, Mr. Edward Amara, to the discussion. Mr. Amara, been a while. Welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Yeah, thank you. I think it's been a while I have been away. It is because of either bad network or lost connection, but I'm very happy joining you guys tonight. Thank you very much.
Good. And ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, we are almost about to close. We want to say welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is our Friday night debate. We are discussing the constitutionality of calling for an elected president to step down. If citizens get up and call for their president to step down, is that a crime? Councillor Jayweh said yes, and Atty said no. The mere fact of coming to ask for your elected government to step down is not a crime. You are right there in Freetown. So for the next 3 minutes, Mr. Amara, give us your opinion on this, relating it to Jayweh, and then you can give our news roundup before we take leave of you.
Thank you very much. I think citizens calling their president to step down. When you are elected, yeah, it can either be legal or illegal. It depends, because when you are elected into public office, at least you take an oath of office. And if you violated the constitution and the citizens of the country think that their government have lost its legitimacy, they have the right to impeach you, but that it needs procedure. It needs to go through the parliament. That is on a legal time when they know that you have violated the constitution, your oath of office have been violated. The citizens have the right to ask you that, but that could be done through their parliamentarian or their elected members of parliament. However, in certain situations, public demonstration can easily ask the president to go down. So it just depends on the aspect of how the president has violated the constitution. So normally, citizens have the right to call their president to step down because, mind you, you are in the presidential position through the popular mandate of the people. But if they think and feel that they have lost their legitimacy and no longer serving into their interests, they have the right. We have seen that on several occasions. Even a lot of African countries have actually lost, a president have lost their powers through popular mandate of the people. If you can remember the Arab uprising, most of these presidents were into their offices. The people demonstrated and asked them to leave. And so similar thing happened, like what happened in Chile, we are all seeing it, even they're asking President Sebastian to leave. We have seen what happening in Lebanon, and a lot of all of these things are going. Even in Bolivia, we can see President Evo Morales was elected a few days ago. The people asked him to leave, that he had lost his legitimacy. So it depends. It can be done through impeachment. That is fantastic. The parliamentarians can do that. But similarly, the people still have the right to ask their president to leave, as long as it's not performing into their interest. Okay, having said that, there are a lot of important stories emanating from this part of the world. Like, let's start from Guinea. We all know it's the same thing that we are debating. We have an 81-year-old president in the Republic of Guinea by the name of Alpha Conde. Alpha Conde has decided to manipulate the constitution, try to force it serving to third time in office, and the citizens of the country are actually saying no to his third time. They are out on the street demonstrating. Today, one of the boys or one of the demonstrators was shot dead, and the opposition leaders are claiming that since the demonstration started about 2 months ago, about 14 people have been killed, but the security forces of Guinea are actually denying. UN and other interested bodies are asking for the politicians of Guinea to be very mindful that they're having a keen eye on what is going on into Guinea. At the end of the day, people are going to be indicted. Then in South Africa, we are seeing there is still a kind of disparity between the whites and the black, and all that have been caused by the past regime, the apartheid regime that was actually existing in South Africa. A black South African who made up to 80% of the population in South Africa are paid 6,466 rand per month. That, if converted to dollars, can be $446. If converted to pound sterling, can be $362. Why the white South Africans are being paid for 24,646 rand. When converted into dollar, it can be $1,646. And into the pound sterling, it could be 1,295 pound sterling. So they are crying foul that up to now they are being treated. Though they are the huge majority, or they made up majority of the country, but yet they are not being treated as South Africa. So people are still crying foul. Then coming straight into the southern part of Africa, in Mozambique, election was held there on the 15th of October, this 2019, and the ruling Frelimo party actually won the election. But the Renamo, which is the main opposition leader in Mozambique, actually refusing to accept the result on ground that the result of being manipulated by Philip Ngusi, that is the ruling, the incumbent president of South Africa. But when the issue was taken to court, the Supreme Court actually watched at the case and dismissed it, claiming that most of the pieces of evidence being submitted against the election result are not actually enough to cancel the election result. And if they go ahead to cancel the election result, that can easily trigger violence, and they ask the opposition to hold on to their peace and ensure that in the next coming election, let them put their house in order. Then similarly in Mozambique, in another development, there was a man who went and exhumed his parents' corpses from the grave, claiming that he has met a herbalist who told him that he will give him some amount of money as long as he came out, or he came with bones that belong to deceased people who died without getting sick. And the police actually arrested him when they got a tip-off. Then we are seeing another development at the same time in DRC Congo. WHO actually claiming that Ebola is not preventable and treatable. They have developed a kind of vaccine known as Ebola, and that vaccine can actually cure the Ebola virus. And they said by mid-2020, by mid-2020, the vaccine will be in use. And that vaccine has actually been produced by one of the company into America known as MSD. Then Johnson & Johnson also claiming that by November this year, they are going to launch a kind of Ebola vaccine that may be able to cure the Ebola, anybody who contracted the virus. And in DRC Congo, the virus is actually on its peak over there. Out of the 3,290 people that contracted the virus, 2,190 died. So it was only 1,100 that survived. But now, since they have started with the trial of the vaccine, about 60,000 health workers or health professionals were vaccinated, and 236,000 of the citizens in the country were actually vaccinated. They are hoping and praying that this particular thing will yield a kind of fruitful interest. Then finally, to conclude, in Gambia, interesting law have just been passed there today through the parliament, as we are saying. They are now declaring any person who made a public insult against a sitting officer or a public officer, it is now declared a criminal offense, and that person is liable to be taken to court, to be imprisoned for some amount of months, and also given certain fines, or you can either pay the fine at the same time serve the prison time, because we have noticed that people are abusing the social media. They can just get on social media and misuse or mismanage the affairs of their public figures, and they are claiming that people like that should actually be maintained. Why civil society are saying no, this shouldn't be do. It's just a kind of deliberate attempt by the politician to infringe on the freedom of people. Because in Africa, if you have no right to demonstrate. That could be one. And even when a politician does something wrong, you still have no right to come and face them and say anything. So if they're still infringing on the people's right, the human rights institution and all the civil society members are actually calling on the court to overturn the decision and ensure that nobody is being apprehended or sent beyond bar just because you have expressed your personal view. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edward Amara. That's our West African correspondent. Thank you for the news roundup and also your opinion. So,
you're welcome.
Thank you. So let me go back to my lawyers so that we can end the night. I'll start with you again. Let me start with, we started with Councillor Jayweh. So let me start with Atty. Cllr for his closing argument.
Did you say start with Atty. Cllr or me? Which one?
No, Atty. Cllr.
Oh, okay.
Yes, thank you. I think it was a hefty exercise. I'd just like to admonish a group of citizens who are wishing to exercise their right to protest or to express dissent, that the Constitution has some limits on how to exercise such rights. You know, it's not absolute, because the government, the Constitution is clear in Article 15 and 17 when it talks about protest should be, or protest or demonstration should be done in a peaceful and orderly manner. You know, so that alone places some constitutional mandate or burden on the government to ensure that protests are conducted in a peaceful and orderly manner. Well, I've expressed an opinion before in several articles that, of course, protests cannot be prohibited. We cannot prohibit protests, okay? But the government have an interest in ensuring that protests will be conducted in peaceful and orderly manner, because if you don't conduct a peaceful protest in a peaceful and orderly manner, you're going to violate some law about breach of peace, in the monitoring and X, Y, Z. So you got to comply with the government, and that is why in most cases government issue permits. The permit is not to allow you to protest, it's to regulate the way the protest will be conducted in terms of time, the manner, and the place. Okay, so based on the topic presented, it is not a crime for citizens to just come out and ask, you know, an elected official to resign. You know, the matter of asking somebody to resign is a matter of choice. You place the choice upon his very self. You say, we ask you to resign. So he has to make that ultimate decision to resign or not, you know. But a protest or a call for demonstration that will be violent is not protected under the Constitution. So any Liberian citizen who wishes to exercise a right in such a manner, they should know that the exercise of such right goes with his responsibility, that if you violate the laws, they will be held in accordance with the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jayweh.
The Liberian statute or the new penal code is pretty clear. Citizens, and the Constitution is also clear, citizens have the right, Liberian citizens have the right to demonstrate and protest. But when they proceed to annex their protest or have as part of the protest, demonstrating and remaining on the streets of Liberia to demand that any president who was elected should resign and not fulfill his or her constitutional mandate. Those groups of people have committed a crime. And as I said, I will not go for sedition. I will indict you, charging you with treason. Because you got only two ways for you to change your government. One of such ways is if you disagree so much so, then you can lobby the House to draw a bill of impeachment. And maybe lobby the Senate also to impeach, to remove the president, not impeach him, but to remove him after he's impeached from the House. Or you go to vote the president out. Anything contrary to that, no other room is there for you to participate in a demonstration that will ask the president to resign. And you preface your demonstration by saying that you remain on the streets of Liberia until the president resigns. You'll be running into trouble. My advice to you as a lawyer is to stay off the street if that's what the demonstration is all about. To not endanger yourself. Pardon me?
I said you can do it on social media. You don't go in the street, but group of us on social media.
The day you go to Liberia, social media will talk to you. When you decide to do that and you create a problem, I'm afraid Liberia is an illiterate society. I'm afraid that our people may not understand what it is that they're getting into, and you could get yourself arrested, charged, and prosecuted. The penalty for treason will be without any destruction of property, could be 20 years imprisonment. With destruction of property, it could be 25 years or not less than 20 years. These are strong provisions of our law that I will hope that Liberian people will abide by and do not follow any reckless, irresponsible and reckless behavior.
Thank you.
Julius, even though I've closed, but one very important thing. And
you keep calling me Julius.
Dennis Jar, sorry. I'm not Julius Jar. Dennis Jar.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one important thing, and and this may not necessarily be a legal opinion, but since indeed our Councillor Jayweh dwell a lot on history, I just like to say this. The law Councillor Jayweh reference, even to date, if you review the Liberian law report to see cases where people are being prosecuted for sedition, I understand why Councillor Jayweh is so particular and so passionate about talking about sedition and treason when it comes to people exercising their right or expressing dissent, because about 90% of the cases we have on our book on sedition and treason were cases that came from Totman time. You listen to me? Totman time, or Barclay time. And you know that. We talk about the formulas, we talk about the...
So what I want to mean? Totman time,
so I understand, we talk about the Totman. I'll tell you what I mean to you. We talk about now. Since 2000, I don't know who they ever, charged for treason, except maybe one or two cases like I don't know what the Grand Jury talk about missionaries and it's not really treason. We don't have, so I don't know when people being charged. So those cases, people actually use them to target their political opponents. It's well recorded in history, and it has led us nowhere in this country. Totman uses it a lot on D2, he uses it on Burma Senior, and they use it on Matthew, they use it on the rest. So yeah, you're talking about
Council, why don't you file the bill of information to record the opinions instead of saying that they are old.
Why did you do that?
What he's trying to say is you are from that era. That's why you're dwelling on sedition.
Exactly. So you see,
no. I'm laughing because until you can find. Look, what lawyers would do when you disagree with opinion. I like the proceeding in the appropriate proceeding I don't like. And so what I think I would do to change those laws would be to either, if there are Supreme Court opinion, I would ask for the opinion to be recalled by following the necessary processes before the Supreme Court. But to say if judgment is back, what is that?
I don't know what I will have standing to do that because in a particular case, I don't know what I will have standing to do that. So because you know one of the business.
I didn't say you should go through yourself. I said find
one of the business. I can just file a bit of information in the Supreme Court coming from nowhere for cases that happened in 1970. I had no idea what would be my standing.
No, you have a client who may be affected by that.
No, I don't. As a lawyer, we don't stare all litigation will be unethical to do that, Counselor. We don't stare.
Litigation.
We don't look for client to file case. It is unethical to do that. So you think to me is as you go
under those laws are off our books. They constitute the laws that govern Liberia. You may not like it. Maybe 22 years ago, you may not like it. I'm telling you, the that remain like that.
Council no dispute, but Julia, you see where I'm coming from? He's not disputing that.
Dennis,
when the child somebody for sedition or treason in the country, you don't matter if do or didn't talk about them or tomato.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question. This is unrelated.
Oh my goodness. Go ahead.
You ended you gave your closing statement. So I want to thank you guys so much. So we close on that. But let me ask you one question that came up in our discussion. I was looking at the 1979 case of Wleh Yense when they were tried and executed.
Is that correct? Yeah, that was correct.
When I was thinking about it, I'm wondering whether they really had due process. What were some of the evidence that were presented?
Those laws were used for politicians to target their political opponent. He talking about history. That is the history in this country. So you know the best way you can get Liberian history is in the Liberian law report. It's the way you get very valid and tangible history. You read the cases and tell
so my question
Counselor, what has been done about those cases?
My question to you two now is, can anybody go to revisit that law? Can the victims or families of the victim go and sue the government for not providing, due process?
There's something called statute of limitation. Maybe you might be out of the statute of limitation if you wish to do so. But the other thing is that I don't know. I mean, I know people who participated in some of the cases you're talking about. I know Councillor Ephraim Small, who taught me criminal law. He participated in the trial. I know S. Raymond Harris, who also taught me constitutional law. He participated. I know almost all you guys are there. I know Councillor Mabandi, who also participated. But the fact that the people participated,
guess me, anybody, I'm not cutting you up. I'm not trying to cut you. I want to say something. I want to talk about Mabandi. Mabandi was a defendant lawyer in one of the cases.
Yeah, but I'm saying he participated. Okay. So
Mabandi, he was smooth and they were prosecuted. Those are charges used to target political opponent.
But Councillor, the thing is, until you know what my problem
is more political.
Wait, until the laws are repealed or the opinions are recalled, they remain part of our books. They are on our law, in our law report. Anybody who think that it's unconstitutional or due process will not fulfill, there were competent lawyers in the case. Mabani graduated from Harvard. When he told me he graduated from Harvard, Mabani was one of the highly competent lawyers in there he was defending. If he did not raise due process, I don't know where due process will come from in 2019. And if those cases are not off the books, they are there to be cited by parties who would like to use them.
Thank you.
A president who used those laws, I'm saying to you again, go check history, is a given. President Thomas used it more than anybody in the history of this country.
But what's wrong with that? And there were lawyers
representing the people. I'm telling you, the result, what's wrong with that? Let me tell you what's wrong with that. That you're being in the country ever since. Ellie doesn't say leave, you know why she left from here to go? Because when you don't create the atmosphere for people to exercise free speech or to dissent, if they don't have the right to disagree in their expressions, right? You chase them with all type of law you'll be getting here. Just say criminal libel against the president. The last I heard they were trying to repeal that. Criminal libel against the president. I don't know what is that. Those laws were all used to just target political opponents. Those laws, well, sedition is not a good thing. Treason is not a good thing, but the way it has been used in the past, that will get us to where we are today.
Thank you, gentlemen. I want to really appreciate your time. There are so many legal issues, and we're going to call you back. Please keep your phone lines open so that we can dissect. Tonight, I want to appreciate your time. The question, again, is it a crime to call for an elected president or elected official to step down? That's what we've been talking about tonight. I want to thank all those who participated, either through phone calls or posting comments on Facebook. We appreciate all your time. Tomorrow, we're going to be here at 3 o'clock for our Business and Economic Forum. Again, from all of us at Focus on Liberia, we say thank you for watching. Good night, and God bless you.
Good night. Dad, I will see you January when I come to Liberia.
All right, Chief. All right.
We'll talk once I come there. Take care.